Howdy guys, I'm Jason, and you see behind me, Ram Johnson pulled into the AutoEdits garage, and we're about to make a major change in the looks and lighting performance. Basically, the whole silhouette of the front of the truck is gonna change today. We're gonna pull off these kind of cool HID light force lights off of the front of this thing, and it's kind of been its signature look since it was designed and built in 2009. We're about to change all that for LEDs, modern stuff, and that was inspired by, I found a box of these. So there's two of these, I think these are the Harbor Freight, what do they call these things? Road shock lights, and they're kind of a knockoff of the amazing Baja Designs LP6s, which I have an absolute thing for. I have a set of them on the Jeep, and I have a set of LP4s on the Jeep. Kind of a fan of that. So I found a couple of these in the boxes of parts that came back to me from Joe when I got this truck back recently. And I just decided to bump up, that still needs a bunch of mechanical catch-up work and a bunch of things. And I'm taking care of the important stuff. Like I just got underneath there, had to replace the pinion seal and adjust that. And I lubed the drive shaft, by the way, Tom Wood's drive shaft on these things, still holding strong. And so while I had the rear drive shaft out doing the pinion seal, I lubed it up and it's great. And inside those mechanical catch-up things, I decided to jump up a fun one. So we're gonna do these lights. Since I'm a pack rat, I like to keep all of my old junk, and this is one of those fortunate, unfortunate times when that pays off, because this is just my LED light box. I have a bunch of old partial wiring harnesses, some complete harnesses. So I'm gonna kind of piece together whatever I can from this. But check this out. These are the XLR80 off of my Tahoe project. I got some Baja Designs fog lights, and I kept the S-Pod Mini 6 that is inside the truck now. And I'm stoked because this is the perfect application for that. We're gonna pick and choose between all of these, and with our little S-Pod Mini 6, we're gonna be able to wire these things in pretty drama-free. So this is so much fun to me to figure out. We definitely have those four in this, I'm picturing this is the 4 grid in the roll bar in the center. So I'm thinking we do these two in the center, we do these two XLR80 flanking those, and then we'll put these, the fog lights, on the tabs down below the bumper. So that'll be one switch, this will be another switch, and then I'm thinking A-pillar lights, and we'll just pick whichever one of these looks best up on the A-pillar, up on the hood of the truck. And for the final touch for making this thing a camp-ready truck, my go-to is the DH7 battery from Optima. I stuck one of these in the Jeep a few years ago, and it just gives you peace of mind for camping trips where you have ice chests or charging equipment, like I end up having to do like cameras and things like that. So light duty overlanding, I think this is a fantastic single battery choice.
Now for the most fun part of this install, I'll yank the old lights off, do a quick scuff and spray a little black paint on the center section. I'm still loving the Big Rig Black from Seymour Paint.
Pretty darn good.
There's a link to an Amazon list of all the stuff I use in the video description. It's really rewarding to start bolting the more modern lights into place and get a feel for the new vibe of this truck taking shape. Where do you guys line up on the age-old debate of lockers before lights or lights before lockers? I've been on some pretty amazing adventures in this truck over the years, several different states and deep into Mexico. It's proven its trail worthiness even without lockers. For now, have I been stuck and broken? Yup, all part of the experience. This truck has forced me to become a better driver. Fixing the rear axle with a better traction device is on the to-do list. But for now, fresh lights and a new look is making me pretty stoked about driving this rig again.
So about a month and a half ago, I put this new Optima lithium battery in the truck here as a temporary, I just wanted it in one of my vehicles right away to run it and experience it and get to know the new technology. And this truck is a medium draw. Like I have the airlift system in this thing. So this thing keeps the system at 5 PSI all the time, so it cycles occasionally. So I just let it run full tilt all the time, and this battery within a few seconds of startup has just maintained itself at about 99% all the time. So it's proving the longer I run it, the more I kind of dig it, and I'm hesitant to take it out. I kind of want to keep running it.
But the right move for this vehicle is a true deep cycle battery. The freakishly light orange top lithium has 45 amp hours of energy storage, great for daily driving, while this big DH7 has almost double that with 80 amp hours. And here's why that's important.
The alternator in a typical vehicle like this is a 160 amp alternator while it's running. Then once you start doing the math on how many things you're drawing at any one given time, you can overdo that. And that's where the deep cycle battery helps bridge that gap. So let's say I'm blasting down a dark trail and it's gonna be a half hour, maybe 45 minutes of running all my lights. So I started to do the math, and the big lights in the center, the Harbor Freight lights, are 65 amps. The XL80s are 80 amps. Give you an idea of the draw on those things. So all of a sudden you're now drawing more than the alternator can run and run the vehicle at the same time. And that's when it can dip into the battery to help run those things until you don't need them, turn them off, and then the alternator can then refresh and top up the battery where those don't work. Same thing when the winch is in play. It draws a ton. Most alternators can't keep up. That's why you want this thing. And then to run your fridge to keep your trail refreshments cold. Now we get to start connecting lights to power and switches. And this little dude right here, the S-Pod, I have an S-Pod Mini 6, and that just means it has a little 6 switch panel that I've mounted up on the dash there. And it has a very convenient fuse block that sits out inside the engine bay. Then you run discrete power to that. I run one network wire that goes through the firewall into the cab instead of this mess right here. So if you were to be installing the two, this is just the wiring harness for the 2 Harbor Freight lights in the middle, the road shock lights there. You would need all of this plus a switch and something that gets overlooked when people do lights, and that's a power relay. This little S-Pod kind of takes care of all of this for you. So I went ahead and cut this part of this thing out of that. All I need now are the 2 ends of the pigtail that go to the back of the lights. We'll run this up to our S-Pod here, and I'll show you how to hook these things up to the S-Pod. All 4 of those big lights that you saw on this thing were routed right here, and they were running off of the factory fog light switch. So you could only have them on when you had the headlights were on. You would hit the fog light switch on the headlight, and that would trigger. They had cleverly and smartly put a relay in, a discrete power source. They just ran one wire off of the fog light, stock fog light switch to trigger that. So this all gets to go now. Thank you guys. So I went ahead and just took the other side of the fog light switch here and just tapped in 2 wires that will take us to our Baja Designs fog lights over there. So we'll run those down, and those are the only ones that don't actually have to get plugged into the S-Pod because they'll go right in back into the factory fog lights. I'm actually okay with fog lights running off of the fog light switch of the truck. I think it's gonna be nice to have it back to that. So now we'll start getting wires routed gracefully down through here across the core support to all of our lights across the front and connected to our S-Pod relay bank right here.
And for most of the lights, it's as simple as positive to positive and negative to negative. A switch block like this makes those targets super easy to hit. The center lights having high and low beams means I'll have to run the white high beam wire to one channel and the red low beam to another.
Quick check of the wiring really quick. This is the fog light, so I'll turn the headlights on. Fog lights should be going off and on there. Happy with that. And let's see, we got the center lights, high beam, bumper lights. Because this doesn't have a high-low switch, I have to turn the high beams off to switch to the low beams. I don't think that's gonna be too difficult to remember. So the Harbor Freight lights have a backlight option for when the running lights are on or the headlights are on, they have a yellow backlight, and we want that. So I'm trying to find the running light here, and I think it's this one right here, and that's just, I'm gonna put a meter on it and send 12 volts to that. And yep, running lights go on. So that is my guy. So now we just put one of these cool little wire taps on this thing, and then we just pinch that closed. We're doing pretty good over there. We're actually losing light outside, so this is getting to go time. We got a decision to make. The little guys here on the A-pillar or the big dog up here. I think it's the big one. Running lights, regular headlights. So this is what's going to be the most used right here, over the road type stuff, and I love this. I think this is totally worth the time of wiring the backlight, running light LEDs in there, and the front end looks great. The fog lights, we'll get this out in the street right now and just see what it looks like. Kill all these. So the fog lights you want to fill in just under the headlights. So now that I get them down here, I can see where they are. And now from here, I'll go up and fill in right under the headlight. And we want to go out a little bit there. We'll go up, oops, a little too much, and out.
I took a few more minutes to aim the rest of the lights where I think they should go and stood back to enjoy the addition of all those lumens to the truck.
Fog lights. And the rest. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, this was kind of a fun one. I'm glad you guys came along for this. I needed a break. I needed a fun, gimme, high reward one, and this is it. So what do you think? I think it looks pretty cool. It definitely changes the front of the truck quite a bit, but I like it, and that's the point. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, enjoy your drive. This hurts. It's too bright, but I like it.